Let's see what. I just
So
want to make
Luca Nation community. This is going to be an episode like we've never done before. So I have two special guests on with me that are going to help me talk a little bit of footy. And you guys know, you guys that follow us on a daily basis, we bring you guys a play every single day. Someone who's under the radar, who should be on your watch list for you to go and do a little bit more research. Well, I personally think the Super League is something that needs to be discussed because not only is it going to have ramifications across soccer, it's going to have some impact on soccer cards.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I want to introduce two guests, and Cage is going to be joining in a little bit later, maybe 5-10 minutes in. We got Mr. Tyler Schmidt. You guys know Tyler from 1:37 p.m., Card Talk Pod. I got to take a second here and say, you guys see all this content with 1:37 p.m., a lot goes into it. And the guy that's been behind the scenes building this, pulling the strings, making it all happen is Tyler. So, dude, shout out to you for how well you've done with 1:37 p.m. I'm excited to watch it grow.
I appreciate it. We got a good squad. I think we're up to like 17 people now on the editorial team. Cranking, and it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun.
And on the other side, I invited my college buddy. This is someone who's seen the best of me, the worst of me. He's someone that played. He was my right back when we played at Drexel together. This guy is an engine. This guy's a Trent Arnold-Alexander type of player. He could bomb up and down the right wing and make it all the way back and defend. Mr. John Boswell.
Thank you, Jay. That's a nice introduction, buddy. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And
what was John's name like? Goldberg, I need your analysis of John's game.
John would show up after a night at the bars and be the most fit player on the field.
I could see it. It makes a lot of sense. The core, he had a strong core.
It was Vazi, you want to jump in here and say it's 100% true.
Yeah, I think it was a positive and a detriment for me for sure. Didn't make it to the long term into professional life with it, but it was definitely a fun experience in college. So definitely have some good memories with it. And I don't want to elaborate too much on it, but I definitely I partied hard and I played hard. So that was kind of
that's what we love. That's what we love.
Bazzi was a culture guy too. He was a glue guy. He was someone you need on your team because he brings the good vibes up. I'm out there bitching and saying you guys aren't passing the ball to my feet, and Bazzi's like, "Gee, just take it."
Goldberg and I we really were coming into a form of our own. We had some real good chemistry going on the pitch before the league folded due to the pandemic. But we finally lifted a trophy in the city, and we had some magical moments together for sure.
Nice, that's awesome.
So, guys, we're going to be talking about the Super League today, and here, let me read what some latest news are because this is a developing story, as you guys know. This is going to air tonight, but we're also on YouTube Live. So, guys, drop some questions in the comments section, and we'll feature them as well. I know it's kind of a midday thing, so people will be pouring in and out, but here's what I got from the latest news. And we got two really interesting guys on because Tyler's a Manchester United fan. Bazzi bleeds light blue. It was always his favorite color growing up. His mom would always dress him in light blue, so I guess he just decided I'm gonna be a Manchester City fan. So here's what I got. So Super League has filed injunctions to stop FIFA and UEFA from banning clubs from future competitions. BBC. I'm citing most of this stuff because with soccer, rumors are rampant.
Yep.
And I want to bring you guys good information. Chelsea and Man City have asked to be removed or to kind of leave the Super League, but they're still working with their legal teams. It's not official. Ed Woodward, chief exec of Manchester United, has resigned and he's leaving operations at the end of the season. And then there's some speculation that Liverpool owners and the Glazers are selling the team. And they're having an emergency meeting. The 12 teams are right now. So I want to hand it off to you, Ty. When you heard this news, you're a big fan, right? There's a lot of different hats you could wear, right? And depending on what hat you wear is how you see this going on. You're a huge fan, man. You wake up, I know, on the weekends, you love watching your team. What was your first reaction? First reaction before anything else came out?
First reaction was, damn, I'm sad because I love the FA Cup and I love the, random matches, and I love seeing the players from the fucking random club that comes up, and I like seeing the big clubs going and playing at these crusty ass pitches, and I'm a big Craven Cottage guy, and like I like the small vibes. But my other reaction was that it's inevitable. And then as I got a little bit more into it and I saw all these very passionate fans, the latest development is that I also realized I'm not from the UK and there is a different level of what it means, and I respect that. But what I'm trying to tell to my friends that are in the UK that are incredibly passionate and pissed off, be careful, because you're making arguments for, it's like the greedy and the corrupt are throwing stones at the greedy and the corrupt. And I think people need to be in the middle right now, not on one side. I mean, no one's talked once at all about the Champions League, what they came out with their proposed new format was. And I think the Super League is going to get killed, and I think the Champions League is going to end up looking like what the Super League would have anyway 5 years from now. But I thought the Super League was going to go through no matter what. But these fans are bringing some serious heat.
I loved what, and guys, go to, Tyler has an amazing Instagram handle. It's just at Tyler. So if you guys want to see, he did a really, really good Instagram live and it turned into an IGTV. It's like 23 minutes long, really worth watching. So after you listen to this episode, I highly recommend checking it out, because you're absolutely right. It's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy, you're a City guy. You're having an amazing good year. You're probably going to win the title. You actually have won the title. What was your first reaction?
I think I'm sitting there with Tyler, except instead of sad, probably a little pissed off, I guess. I think I was on that page. I don't know, but I didn't have like a huge initial reaction either. I was definitely mad, but I wasn't like absolutely infuriated, because I also agree that things change, and it was kind of something that was inevitable, I guess. Everything's driven by money, especially in sports. And you see how big some of these clubs have gotten. City's one of them. Everybody wants to come after City fans because they've gotten big after just huge sums of money being put into the club. And I think the same happens with like all clubs in Europe, and ultimately with the leagues and the cups that are played. So, it's not like thoroughly surprising, but it is kind of like a punch in the dick, if you will.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like
You're made for podcasting, Bozzy.
it's you don't know what way to go, because it's like it's all about money. I mean, Manchester United, the Chevrolet, it's a Chevy logo. I mean, you walk around wearing a Chevy ad. Like, look at the size of the ad compared to the badge. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like people are getting got. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, everyone woke up and realized that, like, it's about money.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Let me throw a scenario out there, guys, and this has been the common debate. Would you rather see Man U play Real Madrid 4 times a year, Man U play Barca 4 times a year, or do you love the games where Man U goes down 1-0 to Burnley at Burnley? These guys are half drunk after going to the pub. Somehow they go down 0-1. Then OGC, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, gives them the, come on, guys, we could do it in the locker room at halftime, and then they come back and win 2-1. What's more exciting for you guys?
The thing that I have been thinking about, and I was using AC Milan as like what I was gonna, shit on, is I think that if they created this new Super League, it would even out over time. And people are like Blackburn Rovers, and like, what about Schenectady Town or some random ass? I'm like, they're shit now, and they were good 25 years later. Guess what? The ABA existed too. So I'm like, in the immediate, everyone thinks about that, and then you got Pep going up there and being like, pure sport is when you play to win, and if you can't lose, then what is sport? And I'm like, bruh, okay, interesting coming from you talking about what pure sport is, So I would rather see the Burnley stuff, but I think over time it's going to play itself out anyway, and I think United Tottenham is like a match.
It's become that. And guys, I mean, a lot of our listeners aren't soccer fans, so let me just contextualize that for you real quick. There's 5 big leagues, probably a few more smaller ones, but you got a French league, you got a German league, you got an Italian league, you got a Spanish league, and you got an English league. We're not even going to go Ukrainian, Turkish, soccer, USA, because those are different. That's a lot of talent to be spread out across 20 teams, 5 leagues, and then you got 2-3 divisions. What I love about the NBA is you got the best 350 players, and you get to watch them compete against each other day in and day out. Now, are there the Timberwolves that are playing against the Lakers, and the Lakers just consistently blow them out, and the Timberwolves, maybe they'll be the AC Milan in this scenario, where they're the bottom feeder team. But I love that. I love seeing the best go against the best, and I think we're spoiled. Like, did you guys get a chance to watch the PSG Bayern game the other week?
Amazing.
It was an amazing game, and that was a 1-0 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was full of excitement. It was back and forth. Both teams were pressuring each other. There was times that, Bayern would take over the game. Then Neymar and Mbappe would counter. And it was just this free-flowing game. We get to see that once, twice, 3 times a year. But we get to see 80-90% of the games end up being barn burners. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it feels like the right word at this time. Like, they're not exciting. Mm-hmm. Curious, Bazzi, well, what's your take on this? I mean, you support a team that literally buys the best players and De Bruyne pinging passes that seem magical. People like sliding and they can't reach the ball. It's amazing how he passes.
Right. I don't know. I'm like torn on it because I think it would be exciting in the short term, but in the long term, watching United, like, I think that's what's special with the Champions League right now is like those teams don't always play one another, right? But if they end up playing each other 4 times a year, does it become special or does it lose its luster? Or do like people build more rivalries? Or does it just like kind of like fade and it's not as exciting anymore because you don't have, the upsets and stuff like that. So I'm definitely a little bit torn on it. I want to say I lean towards the fact that I think it'll fade over time. But I don't know. I mean, it's really a tough thing to say. I just think it's definitely promoted out of money, and I'm not as excited to see United play Barcelona all the time. I like that there's like this culture in like La Liga, and there's this culture in the Prem, and the same with the Bundesliga and all the different leagues. And then it's like super special that like one time a year there's like a drawing. Mm-hmm. So this team gets picked. Oh my God, have you seen the groups? Have you seen the groups? All of that. Like I like the excitement of that kind of stuff versus, if there is no relegation, I don't know. Is it going to be exciting? I'm not sure. Like I think that's the beauty. I think the beauty of like European soccer is the relegation factor and teams fighting for their lives and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of am a believer that I think it'll fade after a couple years, but who knows?
Let's talk about relegation. So real quick, Adam says you don't even get to watch most of the Champions League matches because they're on a premium network. Is that true?
Like Paramount Plus, I think has it. CBS owns the rights to both Champions League and Europa League. And so it's Paramount Plus is the majority of them. And they're not on cable here in the U.S., to my understanding.
Ty, you probably know this better than most. Why aren't more matches accessible?
I think it's just media rights. It comes down to media rights. That's what this is all about. Those 12 clubs are like, all these the Champions League. They want to leave the Champions League because for some reason, again, even 20 years ago, pre-iPhone, there wasn't streaming. like Manchester United could just create their own app called Manchester United Games, and you got to pay them, and any home game gets played on there. So like the unbundling of the media rights and then rebundling is why this is all an issue. And the media right deals that are currently in existence weren't really built or baked for streaming. And so now they're all trying to figure it out. I mean, I think ESPN or someone just gave up the rights and was like, here, it expires at the end of next year anyway, and said, take it. We don't even want to deal with it anymore.
UEFA has 72. UEFA Champions League has 72.6 million followers. But the one thing that I, from an outsider, because guys, I grew up playing soccer, but I don't like to watch soccer that much. To me, it's a little bit boring. You guys know I'm an NBA fan through and through now. But they have 72.6 million followers. Mm-hmm. However, I grew up playing soccer. I like a lot of soccer stuff. I get no marketing from UEFA. I feel like UEFA is the worst.
I think that's why they're pissed, because Champions League has 76 million followers because of these clubs.
Right. But they're not doing it like you.
And so they're like, why are we giving it to them? Who is Champions League? Who is UEFA? We don't need you anymore.
Let's riff a little bit. UFC. Who comes to mind when you think of UFC?
UFC right now, Francis Ngannou.
I think Dana White immediately. I think Dana White is the pulse. And I think Dana White makes them tick. And I think if Champions League had a Dana White, none of these clubs would leave, because they would believe that Dana White is promoting, not the way the Europeans think of promoting and relegating. He's promoting me. He's helping me. So
but it's a new world, bro. Jake Paul just fought, and that was a top 10 in terms of numbers. That will be top 10 UFC. He doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need Dana White. He doesn't need these people. And so that's where we're talking is like, if you own Manchester United, like, I get it. I want to see all the games too, but you're literally just going to the bank and depositing for other businesses off of your brand.
I mean, don't you guys remember the high school days where ESPN did have it though? Like every Tuesday, Wednesday, there were games on, and it was so awesome to come home. And now I feel like my friends are more involved in watching when you have streaming and everything, and it's almost become harder to find games. And I'm curious, is that a thing of like it's harder to find just in America, or is that like across the board and in other countries? Like, is it just hard to find the games and they're doing a really shitty job because they're trying to sell all the rights to all these different, CBS or what is it? NBC had like the sports, and it became like more challenging to find games. Whereas like when ESPN had it, it was on every week. It was great. Yeah,
you're right. That's where it's getting tricky, because what has exploded in media, bro? You probably ESPN was like Channel 3. I used to watch Rangers games on Channel 20. It was like, now it's like it's freaking. You get now 1,000 channels. Kate, are you at Disney World, bro?
Yeah, I try to do that. See, it's just the painting. It's a
Got
humongous
it. You
Disney
come.
painting.
You're like Mickey
So we
Mouse.
make pretend.
You pop
we
in.
pretend.
You're like, what's up? Yeah. Love it.
Walt Disney
Gage,
popping in.
welcome to the stream. Welcome to the podcast. We're doing it a little bit different today. We're talking just solely about Super League, and you're coming at a good time because we talked about a few things, but we're going to get to how this could affect soccer cards as well. I did something a little interesting. I didn't even tell you about this. You knew Tyler was coming on. Man U guy, understands media. He's in it. But I wanted to counter him out. I wanted to counterbalance. And I invited my soccer buddy, John Boswell. He's a Man City fan. So I wanted to, do something a little different. So I wanted to introduce you guys here.
What's up, guys? Listen, thank you for coming on, because I don't know soccer. This is not my thing, right? That's the first thing to admit. Soccer. I played soccer as a kid. And I used to bang. I was a goalie. I used to hit my head against the post. And, my father was a football player. He was my coach. And he used to say, if it's a corner kick, you just punch people in the head as many times as you can and get to the ball. That was it. Just hit people. Yep. So I played a different kind of soccer, I think. A lot of red cards.
But, Cage, you grew up in, in the olden times where they still had the ABA. And you did a great video today about cardboard relevant. So could you share a little bit about, some parallels or some similarities that you saw? You touched on it really well on Cardboard Relevant.
Sure. So, I mean, listen, it's a little different, right? Because this is a merger. It's like a new league being founded or a new group that's breaking apart from a bunch of leagues. But, obviously the feedback from folks is it's a combination of good and bad, mostly bad. Most people are saying, oh, this is not good for soccer. It's not good for the other teams in the league. It's not good for competition. And I kind of pointed to the fact that there was similar pushback from, smaller markets in other mergers. I mean, the AFL, NFL merger, the ABA, NBA, some of those teams in the ABA didn't make it in and they went bankrupt and they were folded and those were smaller market teams. Hockey, Wayne Gretzky's Edmonton Oilers, if you check out that 1979, Topps and O-Pee-Chee card, that was the first year for Gretzky and Edmonton. That was the first year in the NHL for them. I mean, they came in from the World Hockey Association. So mergers and combination of leagues and sports, they happen pretty often. They've happened, over the course of the last 50 years in all of the major leagues, basically. And I think they're good because what it does is it puts the best talent in the best league. It's kind of like a cream rises to the top sort of thing, right? So if the world knows that there are 12 or 20 elite teams, and it was that easy to just siphon off the dozen or so best, then why not have them compete? And more importantly, from a card perspective, I've said this before this is even a topic, right? I've said I can't get into soccer because nobody can tell me which league is the one to watch, which team is the one to watch, what's the best one for collecting. And this, look, I want to buy basketball, I'm buying NBA products. I want to buy baseball, I'm buying MLB products. Last year I started buying my first soccer and it was like, what the heck is a Bundesliga? And then there's, I don't know what this is, but I did well on it, but I don't know what it was. And then there's a Premier League and a Champions League, which is just a bunch of different teams from different leagues that are the better ones, which is kind of sounds a lot like what they do. So the point I was trying to make was, one, this happens. Two, there are people who are upset whenever there's a merger. There's some small market, there's something, that's not going to love it. But more importantly, isn't this good for cardboard? I mean, wouldn't a big league with a centralized thing where everybody can see the best players compete against the best players, and then cardboard that comes from that league, wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yes, I think so. I think it would be good for the sport here in the United States. I think that is one thing that we need to keep, a very well. I think that's been my biggest revelation over the last kind of 24 hours in talking to folks is like the Liverpool and these clubs are much, 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 much older than, the American pro sport teams. And I think that there's a lot more history, generational history and support of how these clubs came up. And I think that is why you see the passion in that regard. And I think that the confusion of it all, once you understand it, actually makes beautiful sense. And I think it is a way of the culture in that there is, even if we want to sit back and say the richest teams win, there is the opportunity to still compete. And I think that means a lot to the history of the game, to the fabric of the game, to the makeup of players, to the prospecting of it all. And I think what we've seen is American financiers and owners come in and buy up the clubs and say, why are we taking any form of risk at any form of random club coming in and stepping on our turf? It's like right now, we have the always in the American sport, the debate, what if the number one college team played the worst team in the NFL? We'll never know. Why? Because why would an NFL owner ever even entertain them completing a 15-yard pass against them? Get off my turf. And so that I think is like a very, we need to be thoughtful as the American fans that there's some things that maybe we can't opine on in it.
Can we talk a little bit about relegation promotion, because that's a big thing? So but I do need to leave in 1 minute. John, You guys are going to have to
You're going to have to
Wrap
grind that
with
one
it.
out.
Why is relegation promotion such a big deal? That's been a common thread throughout all of this. Because people said tradition is ruined. We've moved on from tradition. This isn't how EPL is. You should, the small guy should be able to move on up. Why is relegation promotion a big deal? I'll leave this to John or Ty.
It makes it fun for sure. So in American sports, the worse you do, the better the draft picks. So there's a whole debate whether or not teams throw the end of their season to get a better draft pick. And, being a competitor myself, I would never imagine you could actually try to lose. That sounds like the worst thing in the world. Yet there are teams that just absolutely bomb at the end of the season or midway through even. And it seems like they're trying to get the best picks. But in soccer, it's much different. Players are bought and sold, not ever drafted. And because of that, also with relegation, if you're in the top tier, you do not want to get relegated and go down to the second tier. And therefore, at the end of the season, you are fighting for your life to get as many points as you can because there's no playoff. So you're just straight up trying to build as many points and stay out of getting relegated.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, and Adam McNanny, he just asked, and Ty, before you leave, I want to bring this up. It gives little teams a chance to move up. Plus, there's a lot of money involved promotion. So I give my co-host here, the soccer guy, a hard time, and I brought up a team, Blackpool, and he's like, it's Blackburn, it's not Blackpool. But I brought them up because of the relegation promotion, right? And because Blackpool, a lot of people don't realize this, only the first team to gain promotion from every division of football league via the playoff system. They made it up through every league and then spent a year in the Premier League. And then we're double relegated. 2 leagues down. So that's a team my co-host here has never even heard of. But through the promotion system, a little team like Adam mentions is able to basically climb all the divisions through playoffs and make it to the Premier League. So I get it. That's a cool thing that our sports don't have. Yeah, but it's a small thing, though. I mean,
it's not small though.
That's where I think I've been guilty of saying small thing too, but I think it's everything for the optimism and the overall aura of what can be boiled down to simply a game. Is that at the end of the day, you still do have the opportunity. There still can be the story. There still is that chance.
So let me also
real quick. Let me say bye to Tyler real quick because I know he's got to run. Ty, I appreciate you jumping on.
Of course. Tonight, thank you for having me.
We're gonna find out a lot tonight. You think it's?
I think so.
Finito.
I think that now it's going to be a double because they signed those papers. And now they're going to have to go to court to get out of it. And I think that we're going to find ourselves right back in a similar situation because the UEFA, they're just going to pay them the money anyway, and it's going to be dirty money. And then, the next issue that comes up is that stadiums aren't going to be ready for the World Cup, and you're going to realize that all that was corrupt and effed up anyway. And so I just think we're going to see a lot of madness continue to ensue in this sport and a lot of fallout while the games are still being played and things are going on and people, the owners and the brands have the leverage. That is the truth.
Love it, brother. Appreciate you jumping on. We're going to riff a little bit more, but appreciate you, Ty.
Hell yeah. John, good to meet you, brother.
You too.
Peace, boys.
Have a good one.
So Adam McNanny says the Sunderland series on Netflix is a good example of going in the wrong direction. So if you guys want to check that out. Demo, what's up, Demo? Demo is our friend from across the pond. Thank you for all the graphics, for all your help, brother. It's good to have you. Guys, Leicester were on the brink of relegation in 2014, 2015, and they won the championship the next year. It was the ultimate underdog story.
It was awesome.
Cage, so something to talk about, and how do you think? So, one of your main theories is invest in players that have only one rookie card, right?
Yep.
Having a Super League would make it so easy to invest, right? Right now, like you said, back to your original point from a sports card perspective, you do not know who to invest in, what league, what card, and it makes it really difficult from a sports card perspective. I thought the Super League was one of the best things to happen to the sports card hobby for soccer cards. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would think so, but there's still going to be, the offshoots. Card companies are still going to want to make their money, just like the players and the clubs are going to want to make their money. So you're still going to have World Cup. I mean, look at Mbappe, right? I mean, people like his 2018 Prism. He's got 2017 cards, right? But 2018 was the World Cup. So there's still, even with a Super League, there's still going to be these offshoots. There's still going to be, the international, there'll be Olympics. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff with soccer as well that you don't really get in the other leagues. But yes, for the most part, you would think that if they had a Super League, you'd be able to collect the best player's first Super League card. You know what I mean? And that would become, going forward, their, the sought after rookie card. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. For me, it's less about the card, for the release, and more about this. I look at this, if it's something that actually lasts, and it's 4 years from now, 5 years from now, and the Super League's established, anybody who's anybody's going to be in that league. So one of the toughest parts of entry for me, and I'm not a soccer guy. Like, I would have not said Leicester the way you said it. I would have said like Leicester, right? Or I would have said something stupid because I'm an idiot. But
Barca.
Yeah, Barca. Right, Barca Lounger, right? So I would have said it something silly, right? So, but there's a reason for that. It's because you literally need to get like a degree from Oxford to follow soccer, because it is so disjointed. It really is. Like, I don't know what league to watch. I don't know where to watch it. I don't know what the story is. So think about, like, and I always take it American centric, and I apologize for that, right? But for me, that is right now where the card collecting hub is. Sure, we got collectors elsewhere in Europe. You got some mostly sticker guys and the whole deal, and I think it would expand out. But from a collector's standpoint, what I would see is that Super League is going to get they're going to get a network, an ESPN. There's going to be, an ABC, there's going to be something, because they're going to have a schedule of games. It's only going to be the best of the best teams. It's going to be watched by enough people. You're going to get a much bigger and growing fan base here. And then the cards are going to come from that. And you're growing the fan base and the market for those cards with this Super League. It's almost like saying to the college teams, you guys can all play, but we're going to have a March Madness with the 64 best guys. We're going to have a round robin with just the best teams, right? Why March Madness is great. You still have that Cinderella story in there. You still have the potential for upsets, but you're going to crown a champ out of the teams that earn their spot to this. Now, I guess the counter would be, well, isn't the Champions League that? Sort of,
Not really. It's really not. Because, like, think about it. You want to imagine this. You wake up on a Saturday morning, and you got Madrid versus Liverpool, 10 a.m. Then you got 12:30, Barcelona, Man United. 2:30, you got Milan versus Man City.
Yep.
5 p.m. And then Sunday, you have the same thing.
Yep.
Every weekend? Are we kidding? You get to watch the best of the best, and you have it all day long. I think, it's so funny that so many fans, would you say 95% of the people, 99% of the internet was completely against this?
Well, I would say 99% of the responding soccer internet. And that's the funny part, right? So I'll take it a step further. You're 100% right. Everyone's against it because the people chiming in are people who understand soccer. They're not me. You're not going to see me typing on Twitter or anything else, with a real commentary about how this impacts the second and third tier teams, because I can't even name the second and third tier teams. Right? The people who you should be concerned about, how this is going to fall, are the people who aren't watching soccer now, but might be if they did this. And yeah, they're not commenting about how it's terrible because they just don't know. They're not into it. They're not fans. So yeah, 99% of the people who commented are against it, but that's because they are already people who are fully invested in soccer. They have a club, they have a team that they follow, right? And it might have been one who would have been 13th on the list, right? Or 16th or 22nd on the list and didn't make the cut.
Bahazi, welcome back. I have a question for you, but I want to say one thing quickly. We've said this as well. We've heard that soccer is on the rise. We must have been hearing that since the 1994 World Cup with USA. But soccer alienates guys like you. So we know the true European guys that hit the pub at 5 a.m. and then they go to watch the match. We know those guys. Those are loyal fans. They're going nowhere. But you've heard this.
Yeah.
Soccer's growing. It's going to be the biggest sport in the world. It is the biggest sport. It's growing. But they've completely alienated and have done nothing to get the guy like you to be a fan because they make it so cumbersome. They make it convoluted.
In America, a firm is a bunch of lawyers. It has nothing to do with soccer. So, we got to change that a little bit, and the way to do that is you got to make it mainstream, right? And this would be a huge step towards making it mainstream. And here's the fun part. There are probably soccer fans listening to this who are saying, we don't want it mainstream. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You want it the way that it is, that's great too. And it's been around for forever. I mean, soccer's been around for a long time, right? And these clubs have been around for a long time. I mean, my favorite Blackpool, that's the 1800s. They came up there, right? But I
don't know if this is true. Genghis Khan used to play soccer with severed heads. I've heard stories.
I heard he shopped in the San Dimas Mall for aluminum bats. That was what I heard about. That's what I heard about Genghis Khan.
Mine was actually half true.
Yeah, so was mine in the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So here's the fun, of course. If you want it that way, that's great. But the sport will always be something that's globally growing. It's gonna grow. It has this huge fan base, but will never resonate for cardboard and for the the average sports fan in America. Where give me a sundae, give me a beer, let me eat wings, let me watch the top competition. I don't want to watch one of these top 12 teams beat up on some scrubby team. Right? I just don't. That's just not the way. I mean, it's the same thing in everything else, man. I mean, even the NBA, you have it, right? Like, I don't want to watch, the worst team in the league against the best all the time. But in soccer, you seem to get that a lot.
A lot, more than not.
Yeah, but to counter that with the fact that, back to when before you came onto the podcast, right? For me, ultimately, what makes the playoffs special is that they only come around a certain time of year, right? And so if you create this Super League, I was saying it's not going to be as special for a team like Manchester United to get paired up to play a Barcelona, right? And the luster of that, I believe, will fade in time because you don't have the relegation to get in and you don't have the promotion to get in and the relegation to drop out. And Champions League, when the group stages come out, it's a special thing, and then they play the tournament, you get to the finals. It's like, it's always a special thing. And then you're fighting in your country, in your league, to be able to play into that competition or Europa League. And that becomes like another level of competition within your league as well, because you have to be top 4 in the big leagues, and top 2 or top 3 in the other countries. And that becomes like a special thing versus just, we have money, so we're going to form this league, and then therefore, it'll be big. So I think it'll help in some way with Americans getting into the game. I do agree with you on that, but also like it's turning off all of the people in Europe and Asia and Africa and all these other countries that follow, Champions League, and they follow, the Prem, and they follow the Bundesliga and all of that. So I don't know. I think it's a turnoff to the majority of people watching the sport. We happen to be a small sector of that in America. So I don't know.
If you guys are watching the video version of this, I kind of feel like these guys created a Super League without me, and they all chose to be sponsored by corded headphones. So I don't know how this happened, but Tyler, he had to drop off. Cage and Bozzy all showed up in corded headphones today. And I kind of am taking it a little bit personal. Next thing, Bozzy, you help me with the details here. But
remember we had Gary Vee on. He had a corded headphone also. I mean,
it's the ultimate power move, apparently.
This is what the people are listening to us on.
Yeah.
So you might as well.
Bozzy, help me with the details. But so there was this interesting thing. So in 2013, I believe, Drexel soccer were in the CAA conference. Good conference. It was actually really some teams left, but it was a good competitive conference. And you play, I believe, 18 games, and they finished first in the conference. But then to go to the NCAA tournament, you have a 4-team or 6-team playoff, okay? And so you win the conference, but you still have to play in to get to the NCAA tournament because only one team goes. So they won the conference, but they lost in the finals. Was it on PKs?
Semis, actually.
Semis.
We didn't even get to the final. We lost in PKs, yeah.
So they felt, rightfully so, maybe wrongfully so, that it's unfair. It was very American that, like, hey, we won all 18, the season, but then we have these 2 games. It goes down to the wire. We lose by a fraction, and we're out of it. And what do you think about it? Americans love playoffs. We're very playoff-centric kind of country, sport, competition, where Europeans traditionally like, hey, play your game, see who ends at the top of the table, clap them up, and mazel tov, go home and hit the pubs. Yeah. First off, did I tell that story right, Bazzi?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'll say, for me, being American, I think that's the beauty of me being able to watch different sports from different countries is, like, I love that we have playoffs, and I love that European soccer doesn't. Now, I hope that American soccer will get to the point where we don't have playoffs. We have enough clubs across this country. We have a big enough country that we should have a 3-tiered, 4-tiered system, and we should have relegation and promotion and relegation. I think that's ultimately where Americans going to get better in actual competition. But as far as it goes for, like, fans, I mean, it's beautiful that we get to watch, hockey and basketball playoffs bring me back into the sport. I get revved up and excited about it. But I wouldn't sit there and watch the whole season. I don't have enough time to. And I don't make the time to. But, I focus on watching European soccer, and I love watching the relegation battle happen. I love watching teams like Tottenham. Right now, Liverpool is a great example, right? They won Champions League, and now they're, like, battling just to get into the top 4, to hopefully make a place back in the Champions League from winning it 2 years ago. So, I don't know. That's kind of like a beauty for me as a fan here. And I think Europeans are just confused as all hell. Like, what the hell are playoffs, So, looking at their perspective, they're baffled as to how our league's set up. They're like, what the fuck is the NFL? You got conferences and divisions and playoffs and, like, what is this whole thing, right? They don't get that. So it's just kind of a flip for them. And for me, I understand all of it, so I enjoy it. I like that I got a diversity in what I watch.
Cage. So Adam says Panini should do with Prism what they did with Chronicles, incorporate multiple leagues into a set. Do you know what that means?
Yeah. I mean, Chronicles does multiple levels, but if they have a super league, Panini can go bid on that.
So Bazzi, we'll wrap with this. Sorry, we always try to add value to our community. Okay, that's our number one. Give me a few guys. Demo had a comment. I'll show you guys. Demo and I have been disagreeing on soccer since this has started. But before we let you go, Bazzi, we always like to add value to our community. Give me a few guys, young guys, that you think are going to really be stars. Whether that's Haaland, Reina, soccer well. Give me a few young guys that are under the radar.
I mean, I don't think Haaland is under the radar at this point, but I think he's going to blow up. I think Lewandowski is another player who's, again, like, not under the radar, but has been an absolute stud and gets underrepresented because he plays in the Bundesliga. I like the American contingency for sure. I think McKinney's killing it right now in Italy. I think that's amazing. And I'm super excited about some of these European stars. I think I'm going to just stick with that. I think, like, all Americans should be super pumped that we have a good core of, like, young talent that's playing over in Europe, and hopefully we just keep building on that with the younger generations.
I love it, brother.
You know me, dude, Andrew. If the question's to me, I got to root for a guy named Fatty, because I'm a fatty myself. So Ansu Fati, that's gonna be my young star who's coming up. Man, the guy's name is Fatty. You got to go for it. Let's go.
Bazzi, I appreciate you. I'll let you get back to your family. Thank you so much for joining, brother.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bob.
So, last comment. Demo says, Andrew, so sorry I have to disagree again. Some championships actually do have playoffs. that include part of the teams from either to qualify for Europa League or to avoid relegation. That's correct, Demo, but the main tournaments, Champions League is why we love it so much, is it is a playoff, but the actual domestic leagues are not playoff centric. That's what we were talking about.
I'll tell you what I'm curious about, right? And I don't know how many people are watching this, or people obviously going to listen to this episode.
Thousands.
Well, listen, it's great we had Ty on. It's great we had Bozzy on. Your pal. It was really nice, and to talk about soccer. This is the sport news of the day. But really, what I want to say is like nobody cares about soccer. But I don't want to say that. I want to ask that to our Luca Nation. I want to ask that if you guys are listening to this, so you're on our Instagram page. We'll put a post up. You've seen my cardboard relevant with Cage commentary about this and how I think it's going to impact. Put a comment in there. Let us know. Do you care about this? Are you somebody who cares because if this Super League comes out, you might actually get into soccer. You might actually watch soccer. You might actually collect soccer cards because it'll be easier for you. Or do you fall in the other camp and say this is just a money grab? It's it's the rich getting richer and really a slap in the face to some of those other teams. Do you enjoy soccer for all of the things that people have spoken about here, the relegation and promotion aspect of it, the ability for any team to kind of make their way up the leagues and compete against anybody, or would you rather see the best play the best over and over again? So I'd love to hear what the commentary is, and also if it's just I don't care about soccer, you let us know that too. There might be a few of you out there.
I love it. I think it's a great place to wrap too, because let the market decide. Let our community say what they feel about this topic. We're so fortunate that we do a daily podcast, a daily radio show, because guys, what we do here is for you guys. I asked these guests to come on, my friend John, Tyler, because I want to add value to you guys. I want to bring different perspectives. I think oftentimes in the friction or the disagreement or from the different perspectives is where the beauty is. It's where you learn. So please let us know if you want to see more of this. If you're curious, if you like this episode, let us know.
Thanks, everybody.